Welcome back to my channel, guys, and welcome to another installation of TBR Jar Picks My TBR. Today we are going to be picking out our TBR for the month of June, which means warmer weather reads, and that's about it. I am very excited to pick this month's TBR because we did make some changes to our TBR cart. We unhauled some books and then we bought a couple new books, so I feel like it looks a little bit different than it has in the last few months because we took out some of the books that have been on here for like over a year and I hadn't read them yet, so it was time for those to go and allow some room for some new ones. So now hopefully I'm more inclined to pick books that have been on here for a while now because that truly shows that I do want to read them. So let's get started. We have our TBR jar here and we're going to be picking, I don't know, maybe 6 books. I feel like that's what we've been doing for a while now and it just works for us. I think that's a good number. So here are all of our prompts. Let's pick our first one. First prompt is most recent purchase, which is really funny because actually yesterday I bought a book and that would be, I should have just left it out because I literally bought it yesterday and put it in the cart yesterday or last night, and that is My Friends by Frederick Bachman, which is really interesting because I'm very excited to read this book. I literally just bought it and this is a new release. Frederick Bachman is such an amazing, unique author because he is very well loved, very popular. His reads are usually extremely emotional, very well written. His quotes are remarkable, and this is, I believe, just like a contemporary fiction book, as the world is full of miracles, but none greater than how far a young person can be carried by someone else's belief in them. Like that, in a nutshell, is what Frederick Bachman is as a writer. Now, this would actually be my 3rd or 4th Frederick Bachman book that I've read this year. I'm okay putting this on the TBR. I'm actually very excited for this book. Like I mentioned, it is a new release. So let's have this be our first book for the month of June. Behind me here are some other additional picks. We have our Book of the Month books and then one library book that we have on our TBR. So this, in addition to this, is our pot that we are potentially picking from. Put these away. First pick already chosen. Let's go for our second pick. Now, I don't know if there are too many new releases in June. Actually, now that I think about it, we do have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which Taylor Jenkins Reid is easily top 3 favorite authors for me. I just love her writing. I have most of her books actually here behind me. I think I'm missing maybe 1 or 2 from her backlog. I've actually absolutely loved everything she has ever written, so I cannot wait for that book to come out. I'm gonna keep it in my mind and on my brain for a potential pick to add to the TBR. That book inevitably is going to be bought by me because I just love all her work and I'm definitely gonna probably read it. So keeping that one also on my brain. Next prompt is going to be, let's pick this one. Oh, there's 2. Let's pick this one. Highest rated on your TBR. This is so interesting because, like I mentioned, I have added some new books and I don't think I've added them to my Goodreads. And then usually on Goodreads, you can sort the books on there by the rating. So let's do that real quick. Give me a second. Okay, I just went ahead and added all of the books that are on my TBR to my Goodreads off camera. And now I am going to sort them by their average rating to see which one is the highest, and that's the one that will be added to my TBR. Interesting. Okay, so number 1 is actually the Mind F series, which I don't own, and someone please tell me how I could possibly read that series because I've checked with my public library. I think I've checked on like even Amazon and it might be on there, but I don't love buying from Amazon. I checked Barnes & Noble, they don't have it. So where do I get that book? Please let me know so I can read that soon. That one has a rating of 4.62 stars. Second rating is actually My Friends by Frederick Bachman with 4.6 star rating. And then the next one is James by Percival Everett, which was actually, I believe, the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year for 2024, if I'm not mistaken. All I know is this book is very highly rated, obviously, but I've seen this book everywhere. I don't know if it's one that I would truly pick up on my own if it wasn't super popular, to be completely honest. I was gifted this, I think, for my birthday from my brother-in-law because he knows that I love to read like the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year. Yeah, I've just been a really big fan of those like books that win awards, and this one has definitely been getting very high praises. Can I tell you what it's about? Absolutely not. I have no idea what it's about, but I like the size. It's pretty short. It's short in both senses, and it just seems interesting. It's called James. I can read more about it and then let you guys know what it's about later on in the video, but I guess we are adding James to our TBR since this is a book that's very highly rated, and honestly, I've been kind of leaning towards it recently. I've actually wanted to get it off my TBR because I just want to know what's in this book. Like, I have no idea. Maybe I'll go into it blindly. I don't know. I am very, very excited for this book and I cannot wait to read it. 2 hardcovers. Now let's see what our third pick is going to be. Giving it a good scramble, and let's go for this long skinny one. This one's a long one. It says book title that starts with the first letter of the month. So that's actually gonna be J, and that's so funny because James would have fit perfectly with that. That's really weird how the last prompt was highest rated book on my TBR, and that was this one, and now this prompt is first letter of the month, and that's this, like, that's weird. Anyway, J, let's see what other books on our TBR we have that start with the letter J. Please tell me I have something, because this always tends to happen. Dang it. So unfortunately, none of the books on my TBR match that prompt, which sucks. I'm actually going to throw it back in the TBR jar just so it has another chance in one of the future months, because unfortunately none of these fall under this prompt, and even Atmosphere, the Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I have in my head, does not fit. It's so funny. This one's meant to be on the TBR for sure. I have to read it in June. Now let's pick our third prompt. Let's do a little do-over. So maybe let's go with this one. Book that's been on a previous TBR. This is funny because if you know me, that does tend to happen a lot. Now, one that's been on my previous TBR has been, grab a few. Okay, I grabbed 2. I'm sure there's more on here that fall under that prompt, but I grabbed these 2. They're both romances. This is Fuel the Fire, which is book maybe 6 or 7 in the Addicted series / Calloway Sisters series. And then here we have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, which is also a romance. This one was most recently on my TBR, maybe 2 months ago. And so these are both romances that I would love to get off my TBR because they're continuing series that I definitely want to like catch up to or go towards finishing. This one I actually started like last month, and I actually saw my bookmark in here. I only got 46 pages in, chapter 4. And this one I just really want to finish because I read the first book in this series, and the third book in this series has just been announced, and I think it comes out, I don't know if it's this year or next year. So it would be nice to get this off my TBR so I can like be fully caught up in that series. This one would just move me closer towards finishing a series since this one is not the last book. There's more books after this one that are out that continue the series. So, shoot, I really have no idea which one I want to choose. Both of these would be perfect. Oh, I actually have a bookmark in this one too, but I don't think I started it. I think I just might have put it in there 2 months ago when this was on my TBR because I was gonna start it and then I never got around to it. They're both honestly about the same length. Really just be up to me. I think I'm gonna go with Fuel the Fire because honestly, I need to get moving on this series. This has been on my TBR for too long and I need to get it off and continue this series. So we're just gonna go with Fuel the Fire by Kristen Becca Ritchie. This is again, book 6 or 7 in the Addicted series / Calloway Sisters series. It's like 2 series, 1 little universe, but I'm really excited for this. This is a Rose and Connor book and they are my favorite couple in this entire series. So book number 3 on the June TBR. Putting this one back. All right. 3 books here. Let's grab our 4th prompt for June. Let's do this one. This is Enemies to Lovers trope. That is another romance probably. So honestly, off the top of my head, I don't think I really know which one's Enemies to Lovers. So I'm gonna have to do some research and then we'll pull some. Alrighty, so I pulled 2 books that would fit this prompt, and that is going to be Bride by Ali Hazelwood and Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. Now these are both also romances and they're both kind of on the same wavelength actually. This one's more of a paranormal romance and this one is more of a spicy, dark romance. So we have both of these as options. I am thinking I'm leaning more towards this one just because this one is part of the Ruinous Love trilogy, which I also want to finish. All 3 books in the trilogy are already out and I've been stuck on the second one for quite a while, and I actually just got Scythe and Sparrow, which is the 3rd book in this trilogy, like literally a week ago. So it would be perfect if I could get this off my TBR so that way Scythe and Sparrow can now transition onto the TBR and be ready to get read and finished, and we can finish this trilogy. So I think for those reasons, I'm gonna go with Leather and Lark. I also like the cover. I think it's really interesting. The first book in this trilogy was Butcher and Blackbird, and I actually really liked that one. It took me by surprise, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping this one kind of brings those similar vibes. This is gonna be book number 4 for our June TBR. Now we have 4 books on there, 2 more prompts to choose. Let's see what we get. Let's do this one. All right, this one says, book title that starts with my initial. That's interesting. My first name initial is K, so I don't even know if I will have something with that initial. Nope. No. So why don't we go with the initial for the channel? So that is Breezy Book Reads, first initial being B. Okay, these are our options. We have Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Business or Pleasure, Black Cake, and Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So I think out of these four, honestly, I think I'm leaning more towards Black Cake. This one has been on my TBR, honestly, for like a year or two. This is one of the books that escaped my recent on haul because I really genuinely think I would enjoy this book. I just don't know why I haven't read it yet. I think other books have just been pushed up higher onto my TBR, so it's kind of brought this one down. But I've always still been really, really interested in this one, so I think I finally just want to take the plunge, read it, and report back what I think. So I'm gonna choose this one, actually. This is a book club pick. This was book of the year for Target. I don't know which year specifically. And it was a Read with Jenna book club pick. So I cannot wait to finally get this off my TBR. Whoa, I just flipped through and the font is like really tiny, which I am not the biggest fan of that. It's just harder for me to like, honestly, I don't know why. It's harder for me to like stay attentive when the font is really small, but that's okay. We're still gonna read this. So that is going to be book number 5 for the June TBR. Last but not least, we have one more spot on the TBR. Yeah, so book number 6. Let's see what we're gonna get. I'm so nervous. I don't know which one to pick. Let's go with this one. It's nice and tightly folded up. Set in your country. So that is set in the USA. That's where I live. I think most of these are honestly set in my country. So I have a pretty free pick here. I just kind of have to make sure that they're not set in like Europe or Fantasyland, which actually I really wanted to read Legendary this month, but it just looks like that's not gonna work out unless I do still read it, but apart from the books that are gonna be on my TBR. So let's see what other book on here I'm very interested in reading. As always, we have a couple of options. Now, the one that I pulled out for now is Somebody's Daughter. This takes place in Indiana, and the reason I picked this up is because it's a memoir and it's really, really short. So that's definitely appealing to me. And then we also have Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, which has been on my radar for the longest time, and I genuinely want to read this so bad. The only thing kind of pushing me away from this, and also this takes place in Appalachia, so it's also in the US, but the only thing that's kind of deterring me from putting it on my June TBR is the fact that we already have some like pretty heavy reads on here, or books that I think are gonna take a toll on my emotional health. And I don't think I want to add another one. I've just heard this one gets really emotional and it can have some pretty heavy topics involved. So I don't know. I think for those reasons, I'm gonna put it back on the TBR. But this one's definitely kind of one book that's on my priority TBR. Then of course, we also have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, which I talked about a little bit earlier. This one actually takes place in Hawaii, so that's also in the US. Very, very interested to see if maybe I end up putting this on the TBR. And then last but not least, we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which takes place in Texas. And like I mentioned, that one is in my brain for me to read this month because I can't not read it this month. So I think my top 2 would probably be between Atmosphere and Somebody's Daughter. So I don't know. I think I might just maybe I'll do Somebody's Daughter just because it's short, it's a memoir, it's quick, and then maybe if we have time, we can always add Atmosphere to the list. But I think officially we're gonna add Somebody's Daughter to my June TBR. All right, so here's the official June TBR. Let's talk about it. First book on the TBR is Frederick Bachman's My Friends. Now, like I mentioned, this is a new release, and this is by he's probably maybe top 5, top 10 favorite authors for me. I don't know. I definitely feel like I want to read more of his works to really kind of get a feel for his writing, because like I mentioned, his writing is phenomenal. I've read Beartown by him, and then the second book in that series, which the name is escaping me at the moment. Loved those books. I cannot wait to finish that series. But I also read A Man Called Ove. That wasn't my favorite book. I loved the writing in it, but I just felt like the story itself, it was just kind of lagging for me. I don't know why it didn't hit home. So this one, I'm really interested to see which side of the aisle it's gonna fall on. This is a contemporary fiction book about friendship, and it takes place in the summertime. So I think it's the perfect book for June. And that's really all I have to say about it. Next up, we added James by Percival Everett to the June TBR. Now this one, I'm sorry, but I'm definitely gonna go into it blindly, so I am afraid I don't have too much to share regarding like what the book is actually about. I did look it up and it is historical fiction, so I will tell you that, but other than that, I have no idea what it's about, and that actually really fascinates me because I really just want to have zero expectations and no inkling as to what is gonna happen. So book number 2 for the June TBR. Next up, we have a romance, Fuel the Fire by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Again, part of the Addicted series. This is a book about Rose and Connor, and I cannot wait because like I mentioned earlier, they are my favorite couple in this book series. And at this point in the series, I feel like they're in a very precarious situation. Like I really don't know what they're gonna do. There's multiple aspects playing into like their jobs, their family. The found family aspect is one of my favorites in any book series ever. And I honestly just can't wait to finish this series. I'm very sad to say that because I've grown to love these characters, but I think it's time. I started this sometime last year and I did a good job reading like 5 or 6 books, but at this point it's been over probably 5 months since I picked up a book in this series. So I think me reading this will definitely help me continue on the journey of finishing this series potentially sometime soon. This is going to be the 3rd book on my June TBR and it is a romance. Next up, we actually have another romance. This is a dark romance, and this is Leather and Lark by Brynn Weaver, 2nd book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. And I think these two are enemies to lovers, which is always fun to see. Yeah, it says, oh, I think that's what the prompt was for this book. Duh, it says an enemies to lovers dark romantic comedy packed with danger, chaos, and heat. So this sounds like the perfect kind of book to interlace between all these other sort of heavier, just like more emotional reads, just like something that will be a little bit of a palate cleanser, but also give me that romantic comedy comfort feeling that sometimes I just crave. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this series is gonna go and if I'm gonna enjoy it or just where it's gonna put me in terms of expectations to go into the 3rd book. So we will see. Leather and Lark, 4th book on the June TBR. Next up, we have Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This book has been on my TBR for like 2, maybe even 3 years. It's been a long time. So I'm actually like really excited to read this. I'm gonna even prioritize it on this TBR because it needs to be read this month. Like there's no other option. So I really don't know what it's about. It says we can't choose what we inherit, but can we choose who we become? I might go into this one semi-blindly as well. I do think it is historical fiction, so that's really all I'm gonna tell you guys. It says it's an extraordinary journey through the life of a family changed forever by the choices of its matriarch. That sounds really interesting. So book number 5 for my June TBR. And then last but not least, we have a memoir, so a nonfiction read, and that is Somebody's Daughter. And I was looking it up, and this is a memoir on Ashley C. Ford, and this is about her kind of discovering herself. And her father was actually incarcerated when she was younger, and she doesn't know why. So she kind of has to navigate that absence of a father figure in her life, and that definitely kind of spills into her day-to-day actions and what she decides or what she sees and finds in like other partners, like romantic partners, and how that affects your life. I don't know, I just find that really interesting. I feel like books that are in the criminal justice realm are always extra fascinating to me because I have a college degree in criminal justice. So I think that's really interesting and I can't wait to read this one. I like the length. I feel like it's really just gonna give me something to, again, take my mind off of some of these like fiction reads, but nonfiction reads can also be pretty heavy because we're dealing with real life situations, real people. I don't rate nonfiction, so I won't be rating this, but I do want to get this off my TBR. It's been on here for also probably 2 to 3 years. I think this might have been my first ever book of the month book, and that was easily over like 3 years ago. So I've had this for a while. Definitely gonna be read this month. Book number 5 for my June TBR. So those are all the books on my June TBR. I do still have my eyes open for Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and who knows what else I'll end up reading. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!